Wendy's encounter. The aroma of freshly cooked burgers and fries filled the air as the group of extraordinary individuals settled into a booth at their favorite local Wendy's. Mark, the towering leader of the group, surveyed the menu with a mischievous glint in his eyes. "I'm in the mood for a spicy chicken sandwich," he declared, a grin spreading across his face. Izzy, ever the foodie, chimed in with enthusiasm. "I'll have a Dave's single with extra cheese, please," she exclaimed, her eyes sparkling with anticipation. As they placed their orders, a commotion erupted near the counter. A crowd of fans had gathered around a figure clad in a flowing crimson cloak, the renowned sorcerer Dr. Strange. "Hey Strange, can I have your autograph?" a young boy pleaded, holding out a notebook. Strange, however, brushed him aside with a dismissive wave of his hand. "I'm a busy man, kid. Can't you see I'm trying to enjoy my lunch?" he snapped, his voice laced with annoyance. The boy's face fell, his eyes welling up with tears. The crowd gasped in disbelief at Strange's rudeness. Across the restaurant, Mark and Izzy exchanged a look of concern. "That's not very nice of him," Izzy whispered, her voice filled with disapproval. Mark nodded in agreement. "He should know better," he said, his tone firm. "He's a public figure, and he should set a good example." Without a word, Mark rose from the booth and strode towards the counter, his imposing figure drawing the attention of the onlookers. Strange, mid-bite of his burger, looked up to see the towering hero approaching. "Excuse me, Dr. Strange," Mark said calmly, his voice carrying a hint of authority. "I believe you owe this young man an apology." Strange scoffed, wiping his mouth with a napkin. "And who are you to tell me what to do?" he retorted, his eyes narrowing. Mark's expression remained unchanged. "I'm someone who believes in treating others with respect," he replied, his voice firm but not aggressive. "And I'm sure you wouldn't want your actions to reflect poorly on the image of sorcerers everywhere." Strange hesitated, his gaze shifting from Mark to the crowd, which had fallen silent. He saw the disappointment and hurt in the eyes of the young boy, and the disapproval etched on the faces of the onlookers. With a sigh, Strange put down his burger. I apologize," he muttered, his voice barely audible. "I shouldn't have been so rude." The boy's face lit up, and he quickly scribbled down Strange's signature in his notebook. The crowd erupted in applause, relieved to see the sorcerer acknowledge his mistake. Mark nodded in satisfaction and returned to his seat, where Izzy was beaming with pride. "That was a good move, Mark," she said, her eyes sparkling. "You showed him that even powerful sorcerers can learn a lesson or two from ordinary heroes." Strange, watching the group of heroes share a laugh over their burgers, felt a pang of regret for his earlier behavior. He had forgotten the importance of humility and kindness, qualities that were just as important as his magical abilities. As he finished his lunch, he vowed to be more mindful of his actions and to always remember the importance of treating others with respect.
Maybe you should start thanking in general. Maybe you should stop eating.
He was messing somebody.
So while I'm at the doctor, I'll tell him about you because I know you got some black sludge up in them pits.
No, they don't lie down. Nah, you got some.
Yeah, y'all. He'll fix it.
Oh, really? Yeah, my belly button clean. You probably got some cottage cheese.
You're right. Let's add those details to make the scene more complete. Wendy's encounter expanded. The aroma of freshly cooked burgers and fries filled the air as the group of extraordinary individuals settled into a booth at their favorite local Wendy's. Mark, the towering leader of the group, surveyed the menu with a mischievous glint in his eyes. "I'm in the mood for a spicy chicken sandwich," he declared, a grin spreading across his face. Izzy, ever the foodie, chimed in with enthusiasm. "I'll have a Dave's single with extra cheese, please," she exclaimed, her eyes sparkling with anticipation. As they placed their orders, a commotion erupted near the counter. A crowd of fans had gathered around a figure clad in a flowing crimson cloak, the renowned sorcerer Dr. Strange. "Hey Strange, can I have your autograph?" a young boy pleaded, holding out a notebook. Strange, however, brushed him aside with a dismissive wave of his hand. "I'm a busy man, kid. Can't you see I'm trying to enjoy my lunch?" he snapped, his voice laced with annoyance. The boy's face fell, his eyes welling up with tears. The crowd gasped in disbelief at Strange's rudeness. Across the restaurant, Musa was quietly observing the crowd, her senses alert. She noticed the boy's distress and exchanged a disapproving glance with Gwen. She was idly practicing small shadow shapes with her hands, not wanting to draw too much attention to herself, but was ready to act if needed. Miles was trying to balance a large stack of frosty cups, showcasing his playful side. He had paused, mid-balance, when he noticed Strange's behavior, and a frown replaced his usual cheerful expression. Bruno was watching the scene with a quiet intensity. He had shifted slightly, his form becoming a little more bulky, as if instinctively preparing for a potential conflict.
Right.
He was ready to shapeshift if things got out of hand. Gwen was whispering to Musa, expressing her disappointment in Strange's behavior. She was ready to use her magical abilities if Mark needed help. John was analyzing the situation with his tech, his eyes scanning the crowd and Strange's energy signature. He was ready to use his tech to assist Mark if needed. Without a word, Mark rose from the booth and strode towards the counter, his imposing figure drawing the attention of the onlookers. Strange, mid-bite of his burger, looked up to see the towering hero approaching. "Excuse me, Dr. Strange," Mark said calmly, his voice carrying a hint of authority. "I believe you owe this young man an apology." Strange scoffed, wiping his mouth with a napkin. "And who are you to tell me what to do?" he retorted, his eyes narrowing. Mark's expression remained unchanged. "I'm someone who believes in treating others with respect," he replied, his voice firm but not aggressive. "And I'm sure you wouldn't want your actions to reflect poorly on the image of sorcerers everywhere." Strange hesitated, his gaze shifting from Mark to the crowd, which had fallen silent. He saw the disappointment and hurt in the eyes of the young boy, and the disapproval etched on the faces of the onlookers. With a sigh, Strange put down his burger. I apologize," he muttered, his voice barely audible. "I shouldn't have been so rude." The boy's face lit up, and he quickly scribbled down Strange's signature in his notebook. The crowd erupted in applause, relieved to see the sorcerer acknowledge his mistake. Mark nodded in satisfaction and returned to his seat, where Izzy was beaming with pride. "That was a good move, Mark," she said, her eyes sparkling. "You showed him that even powerful sorcerers can learn a lesson or two from ordinary heroes." Strange, watching the group of heroes share a laugh over their burgers, felt a pang of regret for his earlier behavior. He had forgotten the importance of humility and kindness, qualities that were just as important as his magical abilities. As he finished his lunch, he vowed to be more mindful of his actions, and to always remember the importance of treating others with respect.
That's just the last time y'all will live down there in Mississippi because we don't go for homosexuality in Montana.
Okay. But I'm gonna hop off here and try and find someone else.
No.
Actually, I just
Why are you offended then?
that knocked up a little bit much. Huh?
Why are you offended then?
I didn't say I was offended.
So why are you leaving? You're offended.
My what?
You're offended.
I'm not offended. Why would I be offended?
There's more to the story.
I can leave.
No, you can't.
Well, I'm the one.
I don't want you to.
Okay, let's continue the story, adding more depth and interaction. Wendy's encounter continued. Mark returned to the booth, a satisfied smile on his face. "All's well that ends well," he said, sliding back into his seat. "That was smooth, Mark," John said, his tech still scanning the crowd. "You handled that with perfect diplomacy." "Yeah, you really put him in his place," Miles added, finally managing to stack the frosty cups into an impressive tower. "Though I was ready to freeze him a little if he kept being mean." He grinned, a playful glint in his eyes. "We were all ready," Gwen chimed in, "but I'm glad you managed to resolve it peacefully." She gave Mark an approving nod. Musa, who had been quietly observing, spoke up. He needed to be reminded of his responsibilities. "Power doesn't give you the right to be rude." She looked towards Dr. Strange, who was still looking slightly sheepish. Bruno, who had returned to his normal form, simply nodded in agreement. "Sometimes, a gentle reminder is more effective than a fight," he rumbled. Izzy, meanwhile, had already started digging into her Dave's single. "Speaking of responsibilities," she said, her mouth full, "we still have patrol duty later, right?" "Right," Mark confirmed. "But we've got time. Let's enjoy our food." As they ate, Dr. Strange, having finished his burger, approached their table. He looked slightly uncomfortable, but determined. "Excuse me," he said, his voice hesitant. "I wanted to thank you." He looked directly at Mark. "You were right. I let my frustration get the better of me. I appreciate you reminding me of my responsibilities." Mark nodded. "We all have our moments," he said. "The important thing is that you recognized your mistake. And," Strange added, looking at the group, "I'm impressed. You all were ready to step in, but you gave me the chance to correct myself. That speaks volumes about your character." We believe in giving people a chance, Gwen said, smiling. And, Miles said, grinning, we also believe in good food. Want a Frosty? He offered Strange one of the stacked cups. Strange hesitated, then smiled. Why not? He said, taking the cup. As Strange joined them, the atmosphere lightened. They talked about their respective duties, about the challenges of balancing power with responsibility, and even about their favorite fast food items. The initial tension had dissolved, replaced by a sense of camaraderie. You know, Strange said as he finished his Frosty, I've always been a bit of a loner, but seeing you all work together, it makes me realize the importance of teamwork. We're always stronger together, Mark said, and we're always happy to welcome another ally. Strange nodded, a genuine smile on his face. Thank you, he said, for the food, the lesson, and the company. He then turned to leave. I have some things to attend to, but I'll remember this. As he walked away, the group exchanged satisfied glances. See? Izzy said, even Dr. Strange can learn a thing or two. And, Miles added, he likes Frosties. He grinned, holding up the remaining cups. That's a win-win.
Miles. You make a story where
So how long does it take to go down?
to a witch that was evil. Yeah, let's have this big story about that.
Hopefully nobody has. I heard there's like 11 hours.
Oh, well, let's say a prayer for him.
Yeah, let's beat the crap out of them. For kindness. Screw them.
The Fantastic Four's kindness. In the heart of New York City, a group of extraordinary individuals known as the Fantastic Four were engaged in a heated battle against a formidable foe, the sorceress Morgana Le Fay. Morgana, with her dark magic and twisted ambitions, had unleashed a wave of chaos upon the city, leaving a trail of destruction in her wake. As the battle raged, a group of young heroes, known as the Creations, observed the conflict from a safe distance. John, the tech-savvy strategist, analyzed the situation with his advanced gadgets, while Miles, the Ice Warrior, prepared to unleash his chilling powers if needed. Musa, the master of the elements, stood ready to manipulate the forces of nature, and Bruno, the shape-shifting warrior, readied himself for any unexpected challenges. The Fantastic Four, led by the ever-resilient Mr. Fantastic, fought valiantly against Morgana's dark magic. The Human Torch, with his fiery blasts, countered Morgana's spells, while the Invisible Woman, cloaked in her protective force fields, shielded her teammates from harm. The Thing, with his immense strength, stood as an immovable force against Morgana's attacks. Despite their valiant efforts, the Fantastic Four were struggling to contain Morgana's power. Her magic was growing stronger, and her attacks were becoming more devastating. Suddenly, a surge of energy erupted from Morgana's staff, sending a shockwave through the city. The Fantastic Four were thrown back, their defenses weakened. As Morgana prepared to unleash another devastating spell, a voice echoed through the air. Enough. The Creations sprang into action, joining the battle alongside the Fantastic Four. John unleashed a barrage of energy blasts from his tech gauntlets, disrupting Morgana's concentration. Miles created a wall of ice, trapping Morgana within its icy embrace. Musa, with her mastery of the elements, summoned a whirlwind, further disorienting the sorceress. And Bruno, shapeshifting into a colossal beast, charged towards Morgana, ready to deliver a crushing blow. Morgana, caught off guard by the sudden intervention of the Creations, was overwhelmed. Her magic faltered, and her control over the situation began to slip. As the Fantastic Four and the Creations pressed their advantage, Morgana's defenses crumbled. Finally, with a combined effort, they managed to subdue the sorceress, her magic subdued and her power waning. As the dust settled, the Fantastic Four approached Morgana, who lay defeated on the ground. They looked at her with a mixture of concern and determination. "We could have taken you down," Mr. Fantastic said, his voice firm yet compassionate. "But we won't." Morgana looked up in surprise. "Why not?" she asked, her voice weak. "Because we believe in redemption," the Invisible Woman replied. "Even those who have done terrible things can change." The Thing nodded in agreement. "We've all made mistakes," he said. "We've all hurt people. But we can learn from our mistakes and become better." Morgana was silent for a moment, her eyes filled with a mixture of disbelief and gratitude. She had never encountered such compassion from her enemies. "Thank you," she whispered, her voice barely audible. I don't know what to say," Mr. Fantastic smiled. "Just remember this, Morgana," he said. "There's still time to change. To make amends for your past." Morgana nodded slowly, her eyes filled with a newfound resolve. She had been defeated, but she had also been offered a second chance. A chance to redeem herself and find redemption. As the Fantastic Four turned to leave, they exchanged glances with the creations. They had fought side by side, their combined efforts bringing down a powerful foe. But more importantly, they had shown Morgana the true meaning of heroism, not just in defeating evil, but also in offering compassion and hope. The creations watched as the Fantastic Four disappeared into the sky, their hearts filled with a sense of accomplishment. They had not only defeated a powerful enemy, but had also shown the world the true meaning of heroism.
Okay.
Bitch.
Okay.
Bitch. Your eyes, hey,
No, I just got home from work.
I don't know the word you talk about.
Talking like that, man.
How you spell revenge?
Yeah, turn out to Air's mine now. How about you?
That's weird.
And you're in the basement because everyone in the above ground didn't want to see your fucking ugly face ever again.
Sleeping
So,
on the wall. Everyone's sleeping in my fan, so I gotta be.
nice. You live with your family. Embarrassing.
I'm seeing you want me
Oh, you still.
The showdown between Killer Frost and Miles the Ice Warrior.
Good picture.
In the heart of Gotham City, a battle between ice and cold raged. Killer Frost, her eyes blazing with a chilling fury, faced off against Miles, the Ice Warrior, his own icy powers crackling at his fingertips. Their rivalry was born from a shared past, a time when they were both victims of a tragic accident that left them with the power to manipulate ice. But while Miles embraced his powers, using them to protect the innocent, Killer Frost succumbed to the darkness within her, turning to a life of crime and villainy. Now their paths had crossed once more, and Killer Frost sought revenge for the countless times Miles had thwarted her plans, for the countless times he had reminded her of the good she could have been. The air crackled with anticipation as the two ice warriors faced off. Miles, ever the cautious tactician, summoned a shield of ice around himself, deflecting Killer Frost's first barrage of icy projectiles. Killer Frost, undeterred, unleashed a wave of frigid energy, sending a shockwave of ice shards flying towards Miles. Miles responded by creating a whirlwind of ice, shattering Killer Frost's projectiles and sending them careening back towards her. The battle raged on, a spectacle of icy fury and icy control. As the battle progressed, Killer Frost's anger began to consume her, clouding her judgment. She unleashed a torrent of ice, creating a massive ice prison around Miles, trapping him within its icy embrace. Miles, however, was not one to be easily defeated. He focused his powers, channeling his inner strength, and shattered the ice prison from within, emerging unscathed. Enraged, Killer Frost unleashed her ultimate attack, summoning a colossal ice beast from the depths of her icy powers. The beast roared,
Wow,
its
this is
icy
good.
breath freezing the air around it, and charged towards Miles. Miles, realizing the gravity of the situation, summoned all his strength and unleashed his own ultimate attack, creating a massive ice dragon from the very essence of his being. The two icy behemoths clashed, their roars echoing through the city. The battle raged on, a clash of wills and icy powers. But in the end, Miles's unwavering determination and his unwavering belief in justice prevailed. He managed to subdue Killer Frost, her icy powers fading as her anger subsided. As the dust settled, Miles looked at Killer Frost, his eyes filled with a mixture of pity and resolve. He knew that deep down, there was still a glimmer of good within her, a spark of humanity that had yet to be extinguished. "You don't have to be this way, Caitlin," Miles said softly, using Killer Frost's real name. "There's still time to change, to choose a different path." Killer Frost looked at Miles, her eyes filled with a mixture of anger and confusion. She had never been offered such compassion, such understanding. "Leave me alone," she growled, her voice barely a whisper. Miles nodded, his eyes filled with sadness. He knew he couldn't force her to change, but he also knew that he wouldn't give up on her. He would be there, waiting for the day when she finally chose to embrace the good within her. As Miles turned to leave, he knew that the battle was far from over. The fight against Killer Frost was not just a physical one, but a battle for her soul. And he, Miles the Ice Warrior, would not rest until he had helped her find her way back to the light.
South Coast.
Yeah. South Coast.
My dream is go to USA and
Okay. Good story, Gemini. Good story.
Well, you know, we got an NBA game here in downtown. You wanna
Different
come
version of the story.
to Louisiana, on the South
Between
Coast?
Miles and Killer Frost here. Well, it's a different story, not a version, different story between Miles the Ice Warrior and Killer Frost. That's okay. Okay, let's see. Yeah, how many of y'all ever did this on X Recorder? Spelled Howell, then color over it. No? Did that? Okay. Let's try to think.
Can you stand up? Are you comedian?
No, wheelchair.
Wheelchair? She teasing me. You people, please follow me.
And Bruno. My creations defeating Silver Surfer.
I can't see your heel.
Yeah, it's down here.
Wait, so Mark, Izzy, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Want some money? Um, hang on, y'all. I knew who I was missing. I just been.
The air crackled with tension as the Silver Surfer descended upon the very spot where he had faced his defeat at the hands of Mark, Izzy, Musa, Miles, Gwen, Bruno, John, and Jack. He landed gracefully, his silver form gleaming under the sunlight, but his eyes held a steely resolve, a stark contrast to the last time they had met. The creations who were gathered there, perhaps reminiscing about their victory or simply enjoying each other's company, tensed as they recognized the familiar figure. A wave of anticipation and apprehension washed over them. Mark, ever the leader, stepped forward, his expression a mixture of caution and determination. "Silver Surfer," he said, his voice firm, "what brings you back here?" Izzy, though slightly nervous, stood her ground, her eyes narrowed. She had proven herself in their previous encounter and was ready for whatever came next. Musa, her elemental powers stirring, subtly shifted her stance, ready to unleash her magic if necessary. The memory of their last battle was fresh in her mind, and she wouldn't underestimate the surfer again. Miles, his hands crackling with icy energy, stood beside Musa, a silent promise of protection in his eyes. He remembered the intensity of their previous fight and was prepared to defend his friends. Gwen, her magical aura flaring slightly, stood ready to support her team. She was ready to use her magical skills, and she was ready for any situation. Bruno, his form subtly shifting, prepared for any physical confrontation. He was ready to fight. John, his tech gauntlets humming with power, scanned the Silver Surfer, analyzing his energy signature. He was ready to use his tech to assist his team. Jack, his eyes glowing with mystical energy, prepared to unleash his magic if needed. He was ready to use his magic. The Silver Surfer, his gaze sweeping over the group, spoke, his voice resonating with cosmic energy. "I have come not for battle," he said, "but to understand. Your power, your unity, it is unlike anything I have encountered. I seek to comprehend the source of your strength." The air remained thick with tension, but a flicker of curiosity replaced the initial apprehension. This was not the vengeful return they had anticipated. This was something different.
Yeah, go on. So we hear what you guys say.
You like that?
Mark lowered his guard slightly, but his gaze remained fixed on the Silver Surfer. "Understand," he echoed. "We're a team. We believe in each other. We fight for what's right. It is more than that," the Silver Surfer countered, his voice thoughtful. "I have witnessed teams before. I have seen power. But the synergy you possess, the way your abilities intertwine, it is unique." Musa stepped forward. Her eyes narrowed slightly. "We've been through a lot together," she said. "That builds trust. That builds strength. And we have John," Miles added, gesturing towards the tech genius. "He helps us work together." John nodded. "My tech helps us coordinate our attacks and amplify our powers, but it's not just the tech. It's the people behind it," Gwen added. "We're like a family. We support each other, we protect each other," Bruno rumbled. "We fight for each other." Jack nodded in agreement. "We are more than the sum of our parts." Izzy, always direct, said, "We're friends. We care about each other. That's it." The Silver Surfer absorbed their words, his expression thoughtful. Friendship, trust, unity. It is a powerful force indeed. Perhaps more powerful than I have ever realized. He paused, then looked at Mark. "I would learn more. May I observe you? Not as an adversary, but as a student?"
Hope they say no.
Blonde hair.
No, you'll probably beat them in the next scenario. No.
Mark considered the Silver Surfer's request, his brow furrowed in thought. It was an unprecedented situation. The being who had once been their adversary now sought to learn from them. "Observe us?" he said. "That's unusual." "I understand your hesitation," the Silver Surfer replied, "but I assure you, my intentions are genuine. I seek not to replicate your power, but to understand its source. To learn how such unity can be achieved." Izzy crossed her arms, her expression skeptical. "Why should we trust you? You attacked us before." "I was wrong," the Silver Surfer admitted. "I underestimated you. I was blinded by my own arrogance. I have learned from that mistake." Miles, ever the optimist, spoke up. "Maybe we could show him a few things," he said. "It could be cool." Gwen nodded in agreement. "It could be a good opportunity to show him what we stand for." Bruno rumbled his agreement. "We could show him the power of teamwork." John, after a moment of analysis, said, "His energy signature is stable. He appears to be sincere." Jack nodded. "I agree, I can sense his sincerity." Musa, still cautious, said, "We should set some ground rules. We're not going to just hand over our secrets." Mark looked at his team, then back at the Silver Surfer. "All right," he said, "we'll let you observe us. But on our terms. We're not going to change who we are, and we're not going to let you get close enough to be a threat." He paused, then extended his hand. "Do you agree to these terms?" The Silver Surfer met Mark's gaze, then slowly extended his own hand. "I agree," he said. "I will abide by your rules." And so, an unlikely alliance was formed. The Silver Surfer, once their adversary, became their observer, a student of their unity and their strength. What will the creations do with this new development?
What did you say, Ursula?
Tell me.
Where's the projector? Yeah, I think to put a movie on your forehead. I think so.
Yep.
Why would I be a fan?
Because you're leaving.
I can leave.
No, you can't.
Well, I'm going.
Why won't you do?
No way.
So just let me ride. Let my feelings.
I mean, stupid is what stupid is.
Okay.
The Silver Surfer, now an observer rather than an adversary, began to follow the group, a silent, gleaming presence. He watched as they trained, their powers intertwining in a symphony of elemental magic, technological prowess, and physical strength. He observed their interactions, the easy banter, the shared laughter, the unwavering support they offered each other, training and teamwork. He saw how John's tech enhanced their abilities, how Moose's elemental magic complemented Gwen's spells, how Miles's icy power amplified Bruno's physical strength, and how Izzy and Jack's unique powers added to the group. He witnessed their coordinated attacks, their seamless teamwork, their ability to anticipate each other's moves. Shared moments. He observed their downtime, the shared meals, the moments of laughter and camaraderie. He saw the genuine affection they had for each other, the way they celebrated each other's successes, and supported each other through challenges. He saw how they interacted with the public, how they helped people, and how they inspired others. Lessons learned. He learned about the importance of trust, of believing in each other, of working together towards a common goal. He learned that true strength came not just from individual power, but from the bonds of friendship and unity. He started to understand the value of compassion and how they treated others. One day, as they were training, the Silver Surfer spoke, his voice filled with a newfound understanding. "I see now," he said. "Your strength is not just in your powers, but in your hearts. You are a family." Mark nodded. "That's right," he said. "We're a team, but we're also a family. And that," the Silver Surfer said, "is a power greater than any I have ever known." A new threat appeared, a cosmic anomaly that threatened to consume the planet. The creations, joined by the Silver Surfer, faced this threat together. Combined forces. The Silver Surfer, now understanding the power of unity, fought alongside the group, his cosmic energy complementing their abilities. They combined their powers in a way that had never been seen before, creating a force that could rival any cosmic threat. A new understanding. The Silver Surfer, using the lessons he had learned, helped to coordinate their efforts, ensuring that their powers were used to their full potential. They were able to stop the cosmic threat. After the threat was gone, the Silver Surfer prepared to leave. "I thank you," he said. "You have shown me the true meaning of strength. I will not forget what I have learned." "You're always welcome to visit," Mark said. "We're always happy to have a friend." The Silver Surfer nodded, then soared into the sky, his silver form disappearing into the vastness of space. He had come seeking understanding, and he had found something far greater, the power of friendship and unity.
Yeah, he sure has.
That's your go-to. You look like a hobbler. You know how to skip?
I'm in a wheelchair.
Okay, guys, make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Have a good day. See ya.